So, the quarterfinals of the Champions League is officially over. 4 teams remain: Barcelona, Arsenal, PSG, and Inter Milan. Let's talk a little bit about the quarterfinals and let's kind of analyze it a little bit. All right, let's start with the big one first. Arsenal versus Real Madrid. What can we say, man? A remontada. 90 minutes is a very long time. Madrid is Madrid. You probably have heard these catchphrases, these phrases throughout this past week. And they have some merit to it because we know for a fact that Madrid is a team that's so much more capable of not just doing the impossible, but actually going beyond that in some cases, right? We know for a fact that Madrid has done this song and dance multiple times. They've been down and out almost like many times, only for them to miraculously score the 3 goals that they need, and then all of a sudden we're back to where we started, and then they'll end up winning the game, yada yada. Not this time around though. This time around, Arsenal just proved that they are capable of dispelling the dark magic that Real Madrid has, for lack of a better term. Arsenal right now is currently one of the best defensive teams right now in the UCL, and for good reason. They're a really defensively sound team. Saliba and Gabriel make up the big back line, and even without Gabriel playing today in the second leg, Kiwior is still a really good defender. He's been pretty much trained in that same sense, so obviously they were going to lose that touch. If anything, the only mistake that happened was because of Saliba, not necessarily because of Kiwior. So that's the only thing that went wrong there. Real Madrid still has a offense problem, and the reason I say that is because Mbappe, Vini Jr., they do not mix well. The reason why is because of Mbappe. Mbappe is the biggest problem, I think, in my opinion, of what's going on with this. Mbappe is not a striker. I think people need to understand that first and foremost. He is not a striker. He is a winger. He plays best in Vini's position. He's basically have to play the striker position, mainly because he is the big star, but also it's because he's just that good. Mbappe right now is probably still one of the best players in the world alongside Vini, but putting those two guys in the same position, trying to fight for the same spot, it's just not realistically sound. It's not a very sound thing to try to adjust to. Mbappe is not the type of guy to play in the center. He's the type of guy who will go outside and create the plays himself. He can't do that on the right side where his left foot is not the strongest. He can only do it from the right side where his right foot is the strongest. So we already have a bit of a conundrum. Mbappe and Vini cannot coexist in this system. They just cannot. They were missing a number 9 desperately. Why did they not keep Joselu in Real Madrid is beyond me. I think if they would have kept Joselu and subbed him in maybe later as that striker that they need, I think things could have gone a lot more differently. And Thibaut Courtois actually put out a statement, basically. Well, not a statement, but he said it in a press conference, like a little interview after the game. He said, "We're putting in a lot of crosses, but we just don't have Joselu." And that's a huge comment to say, because it speaks volumes that the biggest reason why they can't score, in spite of having the best players in the world, is because they don't have that one piece, basically that one player to finish off the set plays. Because keep in mind that Vini and Mbappe are very capable of creating the plays, but they need someone capable of finishing those plays. And so Real Madrid is lacking that. That's what they've been lacking the most so far. You have a lineup of Mbappe, Vini, Rodrigo, Bellingham. You have all these players, and yet you can't score. If you want to talk about the MVP for this knockout stage, it definitely goes to Declan Rice. Declan Rice has probably been the best player out of both legs, and that's really saying something. 2 amazing free kick goals. Big player defensively, big player offensively, creating more opportunities than even Odegaard, which Odegaard was not playing very well. Man, Declan Rice is just something else, man. He's insane. He's actually been really crazy. He's been the backbone of this Arsenal team. They relied on him, and he delivered. That is really insane from him. And good on him. He was part of the big reason why Arsenal are even in the semifinals. So big ups on him. Now we'll see how that translates into the semifinals when they go up against PSG. But we'll cross that line a little bit later. For now, let's kind of talk a little bit about the other games. Barcelona versus Dortmund. Not really much to say. Dortmund just completely sucked in the first leg. Yeah, they won the second leg 3-1, but too little too late. They would have had that kind of run in the first game. They probably could have beaten Barcelona, but Barcelona I felt like they weren't really trying per se. I know that sounds weird, but they kind of weren't because they already had a 4-point lead. So why give it their all when they're already way ahead? It's a pretty bad mentality to have, but at the same time, it's understandable why they feel that way. They just shouldn't make a habit of doing so. They have to play at 100% every time regardless, because you never know what happens, man. But that's pretty much all that needs to be said. Yamal's good. Rafinha's good. Lewandowski still does what he does. The backline the backline defense is great. The midfield can be shaky at times, but overall they're still pretty sound. So not really much to say about Barcelona. They might do well. Inter Milan versus Bayern Munich. Again, not much to be said. It was a pretty tight battle. Bayern Munich at times looked like they were about to, score and, get their game back basically. But Inter Milan just dominated them physically. They had no chance. Bayern Munich just lost it. And Inter Milan, big ups on them. They actually managed to put themselves way ahead. So Inter Milan is really good. Their offense is really great. Martinez having one of the better seasons of his career so far. The back line of Inter is still really strong. The midfield is really strong. They have really good chemistry together. Inter is a team that has to be a bit mindful of, because you never know when they strike. And they will. And they can. And now to finish off a little bit about this game, about this quarterfinals. We finish it off on PSG versus Aston Villa, which was an amazing 2 rounds. Of course, the first round went to PSG. That was, obviously, it was kind of close until they started scoring, and then they started outscoring them 3-1. That's one thing, right? And then when they came back to Villa, to the Aston Villa Park, man, oh man, Aston Villa just all of a sudden finally locked in, and Rashford was probably the biggest contributor of that. He had the most chances out of everybody on both teams, really, per se. The fact that they took him out early was a bit of a kind of a misplay on their part. I mean, it's like, why would you take out the guy who's been creating the chances? And yeah, overall, Aston Villa, they fought their hardest. They did their best. They gave us a good game, man. It was really good. Once I saw them score both goals, I thought to myself, like, surely not. They cannot make a comeback against PSG, who is probably one of the favorites to win the Champions League given their current form. I'm just like, well, man, they're going to upset PSG, and who knows, maybe they'll make the final too. Unfortunately, it didn't come to be. PSG held them off, and they're moving on to the semifinals to take on Arsenal. So that's pretty much where we stayed on that conversation. Next up, we're going to talk about a little bit about predictions. If I were to say between Arsenal and PSG, I think Arsenal is going to win. Defensively, they're still going to be very sound if they keep maintaining this level of composure. But PSG is a really strong offense to deal with. Dembele is having a great season right now, especially this half. Kvaratskhelia is about to get comfortable. And, the Hakimi is still a really dangerous threat. Especially the fullbacks. The fullbacks, for some reason, are doing so much. Nuno Mendes and Hakimi are both doing an insane amount of work, and they're really dangerous too, so they really need to be careful with them too. That being said, a high-powered offense can really be countered against a super-powered defense, and of course, the one thing that Arsenal has is that they have Martinelli and Saka in the counter, so once PSG overcommits, Arsenal has the defense to hold them off, and they can counter, and they can definitely score those goals, man. If I were to predict, I would say Arsenal will win this challenge. They'll probably win around like maybe 3-2, 3-1 at worst, for PSG at least. But I'm gonna stick and say 3-2, and it'll be mostly because in the first game, Arsenal's gonna do the same thing they did with Real Madrid. They beat them by a lot. They could beat him 2-1 or they could beat him 2-0, 3-0. My guess is PSG won't score in the first leg. That's my guess. But in the second leg, PSG is going to pick up, obviously a couple of goals, but by then it'll be too little too late. Arsenal will win 3-2. And for Barcelona and Inter Milan, that one's a bit more closer. I would say Inter has more of a physical edge, but Barcelona just still have, quality between Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, and of course Lewandowski. So it's really going to be a tight contest. I predict that Barcelona will win against Inter Milan. It won't be easy, that's for sure. I mean, come on, they're both semifinalists. It can't be that easy. I predict that Barcelona will win 4-2. 4-2. That's my final result. I just think that overall Barcelona's quality is going to be insane. It's going to be similar to Arsenal, where they'll completely demolish them in the first leg, and then in the second leg they'll kind of like lay off a little bit. That's what I think, at least. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to turn out, but if you guys have any other different opinions about who's going to win the semifinals, let me know. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know who you guys think will win the semifinals. Who do you guys think will make it all the way? And who's going to win the actual Champions League? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And with that being said, I will catch you all in the next video. See ya.